Hello? What's going on? Calling this late at night? Sir, I'm still in the room. Juju is coming. It's really coming. What? Calm down. What did you see? Tell me everything, right now. The window, the grill just broke. A hairy hand is reaching in. Red eyes, glowing in the dark. My son, he's screaming, Mom! Mom! Juju's dragging him away. Juju's eating. Sir, please help. He's taking him into the tea garden. I can't stop it. I can't. Look at it. Look at it. It jumped. My baby. No! Hello? Hello? Line's gone. Oh my God. Listeners, if this is real, we're calling the police right now. But Juju, is Juju actually coming? Short pause. Everybody stay calm. Don't listen to this with the lights off tonight, because Juju might be listening.
The Mawai Tea Estate in Sylhet, early winter 2018. By day, the rows of tea plants looked like waves in a green sea. But after sunset, everything turns black. A thick, suffocating black, as if someone poured ink across the sky. In the heart of the garden stands an old bungalow, the manager's residence. They call it the Red Villa, not because of the paint, but because of the stains on the walls. Stains that look like dried blood. No one talks about why they're there, but everyone knows that is blood. Rahat Chowdhury was the new manager. He moved from Dhaka with his wife Saima and their 5-year-old son Aryan. Rahat thought the tea garden meant peace, nature, and a good paycheck. But from the very first night, he realized there is no peace here. Only silence, and inside that silence, something is breathing. 10 p.m. Little Aryan refused to eat. Saima leaned in, trying to coax him. "Eat your food, honey," she whispered, "or Juju will come for you." Aryan giggled. "Who's Juju, Mommy? Is he big?" Saima tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "He's big, very big. Shaggy hair, red eyes, and he eats children." Suddenly, a sound drifted in from outside, low, heavy. It didn't sound like it came from a throat. It sounded like it came from the depths of a stomach. "Juju is coming." Saima froze. Rahat bolted into the room. "What was that noise?" "Nothing," Saima gasped. "Just the wind, maybe." But Aryan's eyes were wide. He pointed at the window. A shadow was pressed against the glass, tall, hunched, covered in thick fur, and the eyes, they were red, glowing like 2 hot coals. Rahat rushed to the window and flung it open. Nothing, only the branches of the tea trees swaying in the dark. Midnight. The house was dead silent. Rahat woke to a sound. Thud, thud, heavy footsteps on the garden soil. He stepped onto the balcony. In the pale moonlight, he saw it. Behind a distant tree, something was standing. It was tall, shaggy. It had no horns, but its ears were long, distorted like a rabbit's, but far too long to be natural. "Juju is here." The voice was right behind him, on the back of his neck. He felt hot, wet breath. The smell hit him, the stench of rotting meat mixed with crushed tea leaves. He spun around. No one, just the wind. But on his collar, he found a few strands of hair, black, coarse, as if something had just touched him. The next morning, Rahat asked the workers, "What is Juju?" Silence. Finally, an old picker spoke up. "Sir, Do not say that name. If you speak it, he hears. If he hears, he comes." Rahat laughed it off. "Just ghost stories." "Not a ghost, sir," the old man whispered. "Juju is something else. Under the garden, deep in the earth, something lives. Back in the British era, a man came here. He sacrificed children. Juju was his name. Even dead, he still hungers. He eats the little ones." Rahat didn't believe him, but that evening, Aryan refused his food again. Saima joked nervously, "Juju will come." "Juju is inside." The voice came from inside the room, from the corner of the dining hall. Aryan screamed, "Mommy, someone's there!" Rahat lunged toward the corner. There, in the shadows, a hand, a black, shaggy hand. The fingers were impossibly long. The nails were red, stained with fresh blood. The hand was reaching for Aryan. Rahat swung a chair, but the hand vanished. He looked at the floor. Blood, fresh, warm. Saima broke down, sobbing. "We're leaving. We can't stay here. It's just our minds playing tricks," Rahat stammered, his voice shaking. But as the night grew deeper, a song began, a low, broken voice, a nursery rhyme from hell. "Juju is coming. Juju will feed. Little child, your head he'll need." A sudden sharp explosion of sound ripped through the house from Aryan's room. Rahat kicked the door open. The bed was empty. The window was wide open. Out in the blackness of the tea garden, a single red eye glowed, and on the floor, next to the open window, lay Aryan's tiny shoe, dripping with blood.
When the morning light finally hit the red villa, a strange, suffocating silence fell over the estate. The tea workers stood at a distance, staring at the house before heading to the fields. No one spoke. No one dared. Rahat stepped onto the porch. In his hand, he gripped Aryan's small shoe. The blood had dried into a dark, crusty black. The smell was still there, thick and sickening, rotting meat and crushed tea leaves. Rahat felt a cold shiver crawl down his spine. Inside, Saima was broken. Her eyes were swollen, her face a pale mask of grief. "Aryan, my Aryan," she whispered over and over. Rahat held her, but his own hands were trembling. The police had been called, but in these remote Sylhet hills, they take their time. And even if they came, what could they do against a shadow, against a curse? Old Abdul, a veteran picker, approached Rahat. Fear was etched into the wrinkles of his face. "Sir, Juju has come, and now he won't stop," he whispered. "It's happened before. Missing children, then bodies found without heads. But this time, Juju is speaking. He is listening to you." Rahat snapped. "What Juju? It's an animal, a wild dog or a bear. I'm going to find it." Abdul shook his head slowly. "Bears don't have red eyes, sir, and bears don't talk. Juju comes from beneath the soil. Back in the British days, there was a dark sorcerer here named Johar. He sacrificed children for the plantation owners for profit. Johar is dead, but his hunger, his spirit, it remains. That is Juju." The police arrived by noon, 2 constables and a grim-faced inspector. They examined the shoe and the bloodstains. "This isn't a man's work," the inspector muttered. "These are animal bite marks, but teeth this large and this smell?" They searched the garden. Under the tea bushes, amidst the fallen leaves, they found tracks, not footprints, but paw prints, long, shaggy, and between every print, a drop of blood, as if something was walking and bleeding as it went. Night fell.
Seema sat clutching Aryan's toys, unable to sleep. Rahat stood on the balcony. There was no moon, only the pitch-black sea of the tea garden. Suddenly, a sound, right against his ear. Juju is hunting. Rahat spun around. Nothing, but on the floor, new bloodstains, fresh, steaming, right at his feet. Seema screamed, "Rahat, lock the door!" He lunged for the door, but stopped dead. There, pressed against the window pane, was a single red eye, blood red, glowing. It didn't blink, it just stared at him. He flicked the light on. The eye vanished, but on the glass, a handprint, long clawed fingers smeared in gore. 2 a.m., the power cut out, total darkness. Juju is here. Juju will eat. The voice wasn't outside anymore. It was inside, coming from the ceiling, from the walls, from everywhere at once. Rahat clicked on his flashlight. The beam hit the wall. There, written in fresh blood, were the words, "Give us more children. Juju is hungry." Seema fainted. Rahat screamed. Outside, a gunshot rang out. The guard. Rahat ran out to the porch. The guard was on the ground, his throat ripped open. A river of blood flowed into the dirt. Next to him, a massive, shaggy handprint. Rahat looked out into the deep darkness of the garden. One pair of red eyes glowed, then another, then dozens. Now Juju wasn't alone. This was only the beginning. Juju was hunting, and he had already chosen his next meal.
The darkness of the night grew even thicker. The red and blue lights of the police cruisers flickered around the red villa, but the glow couldn't pierce the suffocating shadows of the tea garden. The guard's body still lay on the dirt, throat shredded, blood dried into a black crust. The lead inspector's face was ghost white. This isn't a man's work," he stammered. "Look at the bite marks, like an animal. But what animal has teeth this large?" Rahat stood in silence. His mind raced back to old Abdul's words. Juju, born from the soil. The sorcerer Johar from the British era. The sacrifices, the prophet. Rahat tried to tell himself it was just superstition, but he could still feel that coarse hair brushing his neck. He could still smell the rot. Morning came. Seema didn't speak anymore. Her eyes were swollen, her hands trembling uncontrollably. She only managed one sentence. "Find Aryan's body. I can't stay here another second." Rahat made a choice. He would find him. He dragged old Abdul into the depths of the estate. The old man resisted at first. "Sir, we must be back before the sun sets. Juju hides during the day, but his eyes are always watching. Red eyes." They trekked past the tea rows until the jungle took over. An old graveyard. The resting place of the tea workers. Many graves were cracked open. The earth was uneven, churned up, as if something had been digging from the inside out. Abdul stopped. "Here. This is Johar's grave, but there is no body. They say Johar never died. His flesh rotted, but his hunger lived on. He returned as Juju." Rahat looked down. The dirt in one spot was soft, freshly turned. He began to dig with his bare hands. His fingers hit something hard, a bone, a child's bone, and next to it, Aryan's tiny gold ring, stained with blood. Rahat's throat went dry. What is this?" Abdul leaned in. "Juju eats. He takes the head as a trophy and drags the rest down into the tunnels. His burrows are beneath us, filled with the bones of 100 children." Suddenly, a sound drifted up from the earth, a sob, a tiny muffled cry. "Daddy! Daddy!" Rahat froze.
Aryan? He began to claw at the earth. His fingernails snapped. Blood seeped from his fingertips, but the crying grew louder. Juju ate me! Juju! Abdul grabbed him. Sir, no! If you dig too deep, he will come out. But Rahat didn't listen. He dug until the ground gave way. A hole, deep, pitch black. The stench of decay billowed out. And then the eyes, dozens of them, glowing, burning. Inside the pit, a mountain of bones, and in the center, a shaggy, hunched body, long arms, crimson claws, eyes like burning coals. Juju, once more. The voice vibrated from the pit. It was deep, coming from the bowels of the earth. Rahat scrambled back, but his foot caught on something. A hand, a hairy, clawed hand, erupting from the soil, dragging him down. Rahat! Shrieked Abdul, lunged forward and hauled him up. They ran. Behind them, the very ground was heaving. Hands were bursting through the dirt. Cries, laughter, hissing whispers. Juju is here. Juju will eat. And your wife is next. Back at the Red Villa, Rahat slammed the door shut. Saima was unconscious. He shook her awake. We're leaving, tonight! But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sound came from Saima's bedroom. Juju wants you. Rahat sprinted into the room. Saima was sitting on the bed. Her eyes, they were red, vivid, glowing red. She was smiling, a wide, unnatural grin. Rahat, she whispered, Juju says, give him more children. Rahat's blood turned to ice. Saima stood up. Her movements were jerky, hunched. Thick black hair was sprouting from her skin, growing second by second. Juju is here. Rahat backed away, stumbling out the door. Outside, in the garden, rows upon rows of red eyes. Juju wasn't a single monster anymore. They were a legion, and they were closing in.
Rahat burst out of the house, his lungs burning. In the suffocating blackness of the tea garden, rows of red eyes ignited like a demonic army. 10, 20, more. Every pair was identical, blood red, burning, and starving. The sound rose from all directions at once, a horrific chorus. Juju is here. Juju will feed. More. Rahat's legs turned to jelly. He looked back. The doors of the Red Villa were wide open. Saima, she was still inside, but her eyes had turned that sickly red. Coarse hair was sprouting from her skin. Had the Juju possessed her, or was this an infection of the soul? Saima, run! Rahat screamed, but Saima was laughing. It was a broken, guttural sound. Rahat, Juju says, you're next. Your head. Juju wants your head. Rahat's head spun. He bolted into the rows of tea plants. Leaves slashed his face. Thorns tore at his clothes. Behind him, the heavy, shaggy feet. The very ground was vibrating. A cold, slimy hand brushed his shoulder. Rahat spun around and kicked wildly. The hand vanished, but the stench remained. Rotting meat, crushed tea, and fresh copper blood. He ducked behind an ancient tree, gasping for air. Suddenly, a tiny voice, Aryan's voice. Daddy, come here. Juju wants to show you. Rahat's heart leaped. Aryan, you're alive? He ran toward the voice, deeper into the lightless heart of the estate. There stood a small boy, Aryan, but his eyes were red. His mouth was smeared with gore. He reached out a hand. Daddy, Juju ate me, but I'm Juju now. Come, join us. Rahat recoiled. No, that's not you. The boy grinned, revealing needle-sharp teeth. Juju is many. We are all Juju. Under the ground, so many children. We've all become Juju. Suddenly,
Hands erupted from the soil, small hands, large hands, all covered in fur, clawing at Rahat's legs. He fought, he screamed, he tore one hand away, only to watch it regrow instantly. They were immortal. Old Abdul appeared out of the mist, clutching an ancient copper amulet. "Sir, put this on. It's the only thing that can hold back Johar's curse." Rahat grabbed the amulet and threw it over his neck. The hands retreated, the eyes backed away, but the chanting didn't stop. "Juju won't stop. Juju forever." Abdul whispered, his voice trembling. "Listen, sir. During the British era, the plantation owner called the sorcerer Johar to increase his profits. Johar told him, 'Give me the blood of children, and the tea plants will grow gold.' He sacrificed them all, chopped off their heads, and poured their blood into the roots. But one day, a child pushed Johar into the ritual pit. His own blood soaked the earth. Since then, his hunger has lived on. He became Juju. The more people say his name, the stronger he gets." Rahat's face was ashen. "Then Saima, Aryan—" "They are part of him now," Abdul said. "The amulet might buy you one night, but to break the curse, you must find Johar's bones deep beneath the earth, and you must burn them, or Juju will never stop." Late that night, back at the Red Villa, Rahat found Saima sitting on the bed. Her eyes looked normal again, but she was clutching Aryan's blood-stained ring. She was whispering into the dark, "Juju is coming tomorrow night. He eats everyone." Rahat gripped the amulet until his knuckles turned white. A cold resolve settled in his chest. He would go into the tunnels, into the pit of bones. He would find Johar. He would burn it all down, because if he didn't, the Juju would never leave his family.
Rahat burst out of the house, his lungs burning. In the suffocating blackness of the tea garden, rows of red eyes ignited, like a demonic army. 10, 20, more. Every pair was identical, blood red, burning, and starving. The sound rose from all directions at once, a horrific chorus. "Juju is here. Juju will feed. More, more." Rahat's legs turned to jelly. He looked back. The doors of the Red Villa were wide open. Saima, she was still inside, but her eyes had turned that same sickly red. Coarse hair was sprouting from her skin. Had the Juju possessed her, or was this an infection of the soul? "Saima, run!" Rahat screamed, but Saima was laughing. It was a broken, guttural sound. "Rahat, Juju says you're next. Your head. Juju wants your head." Rahat's head spun. He bolted into the rows of tea plants. Leaves slashed his face. Thorns tore at his clothes. Behind him, the sound of heavy, shaggy feet. The very ground was vibrating. A cold, slimy hand brushed his shoulder. Rahat spun around and kicked wildly. The hand vanished, but the stench remained. Rotting meat, crushed tea, and fresh copper blood. He ducked behind an ancient tree, gasping for air. Suddenly, a tiny voice, Aryan's voice. "Daddy, come here. Juju wants to show you." Rahat's heart leaped. "Aryan, you're alive?" He ran toward the voice, deeper into the lightless heart of the estate. There stood a small boy, Aryan, but his eyes were red. His mouth was smeared with gore. He reached out a hand. "Juju ate me, but I'm Juju now. Come, join us." Rahat recoiled. "No, that's not you." The boy grinned, revealing needle-sharp teeth. "Juju is many. We are all Juju. Under the ground, so many children. We've all become Juju." Suddenly, hands erupted from the soil. Small hands, large hands, all covered in fur, clawing at Rahat's legs. He fought, he screamed, he tore one hand away, only to watch it regrow instantly. They were immortal.
Old Abdul appeared out of the mist, clutching an ancient copper amulet. "Sir, put this on. It's the only thing that can hold back Johar's curse." Rahat grabbed the amulet and threw it over his neck. The hands retreated, the eyes backed away, but the chanting didn't stop. "Juju won't stop. Juju forever." Abdul whispered, his voice trembling. "Listen, sir. During the British era, the plantation owner called Johar to increase his profits. Johar told him, 'Give me the blood of children, and the tea plants will grow gold.' He sacrificed them all, chopped off their heads, and poured their blood into the roots. But one day, a child pushed Johar into the ritual pit. His own blood soaked the earth. Since then, his hunger lived on. He became Juju. The more people say his name, the stronger he gets." Rahat's face was ashen. "Then Saima, Aryan, they are part of him now," Abdul said. "The amulet might buy you one night, but to break the curse, you must find Johar's bones deep beneath the earth, and you must burn them, or Juju will never stop." Late that night, back at the Red Villa, Rahat found Saima sitting on the bed. Her eyes looked normal again, but she was clutching Aryan's blood-stained ring. She was whispering into the dark. "Juju is coming tomorrow night. He eats everyone." Rahat gripped the amulet until his knuckles turned white. A cold resolve settled in his chest. He would go into the tunnels, into the pit of bones. He would find Johar. He would burn it all down, because if he didn't, the Juju would never leave his family.
The darkness surrounding the Red Villa had become a physical weight. From the tea garden, 1,000 whispers rose at once, crying children, screaming mothers, and that singular guttural growl. "Juju wants more. Juju will feed." Inside, Saima lay on the bed. Her eyes looked normal, but a terrifying, fixed grin stretched across her face. "Rahat, don't go. Juju wants you. Your blood, your head." Rahat looked at her neck. Patches of coarse black hair were sprouting through her skin. Without a word, he took the copper amulet from his own neck and pressed it into her hand. Saima gasped. For a fleeting second, the real Saima returned to her eyes. "Rahat, leave me. Go. I can't fight it anymore." "I'm going," Rahat said, his voice cold with resolve. "I'll find Johar's bones. I'll burn them, and then it ends. All of it." Old Abdul was waiting outside, clutching a rusted lantern and a shovel. "Sir, we shouldn't go at night," he whispered. "Juju hides by day, but at night his power is absolute. But come, we have no choice." They waded into the heart of the estate. No moon, only the sickly yellow flicker of the lantern. The tea bushes looked like jagged, hairy arms reaching out. Thud, thud. Footsteps followed them, heavy, multiple. Rahat felt hot breath against his ear. "Don't go. Juju will get you and eat you." They reached the ancient graveyard. The earth was soft, the pit still agape like a hungry mouth. From the depths, the crying of children wafted up. "Daddy, Mommy, Juju ate us." "You must go down, deep. Johar's bones are at the very bottom," Abdul said. Rahat rappelled down, total darkness. The air smelled of iron, rot, and wet earth. His boots landed on something soft. Bones, thousands of tiny, fragile bones. He clicked on his flashlight. On the walls, words were scrawled in drying gore. "Juju forever. Juju is hungry." In the furthest corner, a body. No, not a body. A thing. Shaggy, hunched, crimson eyes. It was Juju. It was Johar. His teeth were long, serrated needles.
He didn't move, but his eyes snapped open, flooding the pit with a hellish red light.
You have come to give me more blood.
Rahat didn't flinch. He raised the shovel. I'm ending your curse. Juju laughed, a deep, vibrating sound that shook the very earth. Suddenly, hands erupted from the walls, tiny hands, massive claws, all pulling at Rahat. Abdul screamed from above, "Sir, find the skull! Johar's skull!" Rahat fought like a madman. He tore a hairy arm from his leg, only to see it stitch itself back together. Juju stood up, his body expanding, fur rippling like black grass, his eyes burning into Rahat's soul. Juju ate your wife, ate your son, now you. Tears blurred Rahat's vision, but he saw it, a massive, ancient skull buried in the heap. In the center of the forehead was a dark, ritualistic mark. He grabbed it. Juju shrieked, a sound that pierced the eardrums. The pit began to collapse. Rahat scrambled up the rope, Juju's elongated arms snapping at his heels. He broke the surface and slammed the skull onto the dirt. He smashed the lantern over it. The oil ignited. The skull began to burn. A thick black smoke rose, smelling of scorched meat. Juju's screams echoed from the depths of the earth. No, no, Juju will not stop. The screaming faded into a hiss. The smoke cleared. One by one, the red eyes in the garden flickered out and vanished. Rahat panted, covered in soot and blood. Abdul whispered, "It's over. The curse is broken." But Rahat knew better. He returned to the red villa. Seema was sitting up. The hair was gone. Her eyes were clear. She looked at him, her voice a fragile thread. "Rahat, where's Aryan?" Rahat broke down. "He's not coming back, but Juju is gone." The night ended. The morning sun hit the tea leaves, making the garden look peaceful once more. But as Rahat stood on the porch, he heard it, a whisper from the very roots of the trees, from the dark soil beneath his feet. Juju will come again.